Debby is expected to bring rain and potential flooding to the Carolinas this week. And for people waking up in Florence County, a curfew has ended for all non-emergency activities.
And County Council authorized that curfew until sunrise today. Now, it's not clear right now if that curfew will go back into effect at sunset tonight. We are staying on top of it, and we'll let you know.
Up first, let's send things over to meteorologist Alex Cordero, who is showing us what conditions look like right now.
Debby is slowly but surely trying to organize before its final landfall in South Carolina tomorrow morning. The overall center of circulation does look like it's trying to get its act together. You can see this little burst of thunderstorm activity on the southern end of an otherwise circulation that still is battling some dry air. The dry air is coming in from the north. This slot, though, looks like it might close off. And if that's the case, this could start filling in with more rain. And I think that might happen. Models have been hinting at more heavy rain starting to move on through. All of this, by the way, is going to be rotating about, likely reaching the Grand Strand later today. We're starting to see a bit more in the way of rain fill in. A closer look at the Doppler shows that there are some heavier thunderstorms looming off the coast of the Grand Strand, likely moving overland, over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, anywhere between Pawleys Island and Myrtle's Inlet. So get ready. You got some heavy rain pushing toward your direction, and this is just, again, the start of more rain to come. I'm expecting this to be on repeat through Thursday, with gustier winds expected tomorrow and thankfully improving weather after Friday. More details with the full forecast coming up later on.
Right now, we're taking a live look at Garden City this morning, where if you look toward the southern end of South Carolina, toward Charleston and in the direction of Savannah, you can see that the cloud cover is a little bit more intense, especially over the water there.
That's right. The camera has been shaking left and right all morning long. The wind there yesterday was one of the bigger conditions that we were monitoring. It looks like it's the same this morning. We're going to send things over to our meteorologist, Sydney Madison, who has been live there all morning, letting us know that that's where the most rainfall was. But right now, she hasn't really seen any. It's just that wind.
That's right. It has been windy here, so much so that just getting out of the car a few minutes ago, I had a hard time getting it open as that wind pressed against us. Now, we've also seen some other effects from the wind in this area. Yesterday, we mentioned this light was flickering across the street. Now, it really has no cover on it at all. Undetermined if that was blown off by the wind or what happened exactly to it, but even the buildings are all sandbagged, ready to go for any flooding, but without that much rain going on here, and especially with these breaks in the rain, that's extremely beneficial. These pockets of no rain are helping that water flow off into the drain systems. You can kind of see on the ground a little bit more of that sand that the wind has blown from the coast here onto the street, but other than that, impacts as far as this immediate area haven't been horrible. We've watched for little bit of puddling, but not a lot of flooding. So that is a very good sign, especially considering this is one of our lower lying areas. But again, it is not to give you some false hope. We are seeing that there is some expected rain, as Alex mentioned. We could be looking at more showers and storms to fill in as we go on through the day. So it's definitely something we're keeping an eye out for as we're standing out here, staying live for you throughout the morning and letting you know what kind of we're seeing around our community and watching as that rain and wind continue throughout our area into today and tomorrow. Here in Garden City, I'm meteorologist Sydney Madison.
Thank you, Sydney, and we will continue to check in with Sydney throughout the rest of Good Morning Carolinas.
Repair teams are working quickly to get the power restored in Florida. Fewer than 100,000 customers are without electricity since Debby arrived in the Sunshine State Monday. CNN says nearly 300,000 people lost power at the storm's peak. The recovery process is underway. The state's attorney general is warning residents to be wary of disaster-related scammers.
And the Department of Energy says they are working to strengthen the country's electrical grid against extreme weather. Officials are awarding $2.2 billion in funding for 8 projects across the nation that will build hundreds of miles of new transmission lines and upgrade existing lines to carry more current. Now, the goal is to make the power grid more resilient to severe storms that topple wires and cause power outages. The DOE says this will provide more reliable electricity for 56 million homes and businesses.
Robinson County is partnering with the school district to make sure they can evacuate people in the event of massive flooding. The district has provided 6 school buses to the county for possible evacuations. The buses are staged outside the Pembroke Rescue Squad. Now, the squad also has boats on hand just in case they have to be deployed for high water rescue.
We don't know what the storm's going to do. You know, we have forecast, of course, which helps us prepare, but we really don't know, you know, what we're in for until, you know, it actually happens. I'm hoping that, you know, throughout the last several years that, you know, our county has done a great job with trying to prepare for future storms and future flooding.
Now, the rescue squad also has extra EMS units on standby. And we are already seeing our community show up for each other through Debby as fosters are lending out their home to pups at the Marion County Animal Shelter.
It's fewer than we thought, but they will eventually have to evacuate all the dogs in this building. Now, they made a Facebook post Sunday morning asking for fosters to care for the dogs until Debby passes. And through 4,000 shares, neighbors and other shelters began stepping up.
We couldn't answer all the phone calls, all the text messages, and it was awesome. We moved over 50 dogs out of the facility. We no longer have dogs outside, but we are prepping our double line for an evacuation spot for like this dog here. He just got dropped off this morning.
Brianna says they have sandbags for now, but in their experience, the pond will flood the building. She says even if you sign up to be an emergency contact and only foster in a critical situation, that would be a huge help. As we continue to monitor the impact and effect of Tropical Storm Debby, we turn now to Savannah, Georgia, where, as CNN's Andy Cole reports, yesterday severe flooding from the storm caused a dam to breach.
Tropical Storm Debby destroying some parts of Bullitt County. Tuesday morning, the man-made dam at Simmons Pond burst, pushing thousands of gallons of water into what would normally be a dry area and forcing some residents to seek higher ground.
You don't never think about it if it would or not, but just you basically you're going to see it sometime or another.
David Carpenter, who has lived in Bullock since he was 10 years old, says the dam hasn't overflown like this in almost 20 years. Bullitt County officials moved quickly to shut down nearby roads, placing several full dump trucks worth of sand on either side of the overpass. GDOT also responding, checking to see if the dam burst affected the bridge.
The only thing you can do is wait till it just completely empties the pond out. All the water gets dissipated out, and then you can see what you got to do.
Carpenter admits that could take days, weeks, or even longer. Only time will tell.
Give us a chance to get out and assess the area tomorrow, ride these roads, get whatever's left out there to get cleaned up, and see what can hold up a school bus.
Bullock Sheriff Noel Brown telling us county officials are working around the clock to restore the county's roads back to full operation. While some roads may just need to take time to dry, others, like Neville's Denmark Road near Highway 46 in Brooklyn, will be closed for some time. Heavy rains took the road with it, leaving a 10-foot-long unpassable hole.
The fear of a sheriff in this county is always when the rain lets up and people come out to play. I love my citizens. Do not do this. We have more important things to do right now, and that is to try to tie these roads back together.
So active weather is expected to return soon. As a matter of fact, if you live along coastal Georgetown County, you're about to get it. A very heavy shower approaching your area. It'll be moving into parts of Myrtle's Inlet and Pawleys Island in the next 10 minutes or so. So get ready for it. Heavier rain is on the way. All of that part of the circulation of Tropical Storm Debby. The latest advisory, has max winds at 45 miles per hour. Odds are the strongest winds are right on the southern edge of the eye or the center at this point. They'll be rotating around in due time. Could see some heavier bouts of rain later today with gusty winds. I do expect the gustiest or the strongest winds to occur tomorrow as the center of circulation moves over shore. And then afterward, the storm will actually begin to pick up speed after, I'd say, 2 to 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. It'll steadily start to move on up. It'll still be slow through Friday, but then Friday through Saturday, it's crossing multiple states instead of just a few dozen miles. It'll be finally getting out of our hair by the weekend. That being said, the impacts are still going to be mainly rain with a few other hazards as well. Again, here's what it'll look like through the late morning. More heavier rain, oranges, reds, maroons, indicative of heavy rain that could stay over top for a while. I think most of us will pick up around a half a foot before it's all said and done through Friday, because this heavy rain, again, will be slow moving. The circulation finally moves over shore into Thursday, and then you could see it quickly exiting. And by late Thursday and early Friday, a gradual improvement to the overall pattern around here. Most of us will pick up 6 to 8 inches of rain through Friday. That's why we have the orange color here. Isolated amounts of 10 inches or so are still very possible depending on where that rain trains. On top of the rain threat, there is a low risk of a brief tornado, mainly hovering along the coast. Unclear if we'll get a tornado watch again. I think the possibility is very much alive, but regardless of whether or not you get a tornado watch, we're going to tell you right now, there's a tornado risk along the coast because of the storms that are offshore that'll have plenty of spin to work with and just enough instability to perhaps threaten a brief spin up. They happened yesterday over parts of North and South Carolina. And I think it's very possible again today into tomorrow. The storm surge is also a bit of a risk as well. Thankfully, it's not as high as what you could see with actual strong tropical cyclones in terms of wind, but a 2 to 4 foot rise is still very likely. So keep that in mind. We already saw some of that flooding yesterday. We'll see more of that today. So areas along the coast, obviously be prepared and be safe. On top of that, rip current hazard is high throughout Friday. Don't go to the beaches until this storm passes. All right, here's the 10-day. For the Grand Strand first, rain chances are elevated to 100% through Thursday because of widespread heavy rain and the high potential of flooding. That includes rivers. We'll be looking at a weather-aware day through Thursday. Afterward, gradual improvement to the overall region. Afterward, we'll see that in the PD as well, with highs expected to reach the mid to upper 80s.